Hello, everyone. Succumbing to pressure at work is one of the most oft phenomenon, both in the government and in the private sector. And when the spine bends at the leadership level, the consequences can be far reaching. Thinking objectively, that is, after minimizing personal biases, and independently, that is, without getting impacted by external pressures, can yield transformative outcomes. I'm Navneet Sharma, and in this conversation with Mr. Anil Swarup, who is a well known bureaucrat and best selling author, we will be helping you seek clarity on various questions which you face day to day basis. For example, why it makes sense to resist pressure at workplace, which is somewhat counterintuitive because we have temptation to agree to the pressures. Similarly, what ethical conduct is critical to success and happiness? We tend to think of short term, let us handle it now, we will see it later. Why this short termism can be disastrous in long term? How we can cultivate objectivity in our day to day thought process? How we can balance independence in our thought process without losing sight of the organization goals? Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Please talk to us. Please write your questions, observations, clarification then in the chat box. Mr. Swarup has very kindly encouraged me to encourage you in turn that please write any question and he will be happy to take a look. I will be happy to put it up to him. Please also in the chat box indicate your preferred language of conversation, whether you want to hear Mr. Swarup in Hindi or English. But before you do that, you start writing your observations. Let me introduce the speaker today. Mr. Anil Swarup is an Indian author and retired Indian Services Officer of Uttar Pradesh cadre of 1981 batch. He spent 38 years in the service and superannuated as the Secretary to the Government of India. He was indeed Secretary to two ministries, Ministry of Coal and Department of School Education at the Ministry of HRD. Very interestingly, particularly for today's topic, I must make a mention that before joining the IAS, he worked in the Indian Police Service for 1 year at least. And then subsequently, he joined the IAS in 81. And he's the recipient of the Director's Gold Medal for the Best Officer Trainee of his batch at the famous Labasna, the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. He has served in various key positions in both the Union government and the government of Uttar Pradesh, such as the Education Secretary of India, Coal Secretary of India, Additional Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat of India, Additional Secretary of Labour and Empowerment, Export Commissioner in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and in the Uttar Pradesh, in his cadre, he was District Magistrate, DM of Lakhimpur Kheri during the Babri Masjid Ram Janmabhoomi agitation under the then Chief Minister of UP, Mr. Kalyan Singh. And all of you who have tracked his writings, you would know that as Coal Secretary, he became Coal Secretary after the coal scam, which the Supreme Court of India cancelled more than 200 blocks allocated since 93. And he conducted coal auctions in one of the most transparent manner, which was a huge success. And all of you know that as an author, he has his first book, not just a civil servant, remains a bestseller. Whichever chart you see, it is a bestseller. And he is now coming out with his second book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant. Welcome, sir. I don't know where to begin. Firstly, compliments for this new look, sir. I have never seen you in this look. But
I'm trying to hide myself behind the beard. Good evening, everyone.
Right, sir. So, firstly, sir, first thing first, please tell us, because we are talking of the spine, we are talking of stress and independence and all that. What is that one event in your life when your spine, when your strength was tested the hardest, sir?
It may not be appropriate of me to compare two sets of events because each event has its own nuance. And it's very wrong of me. I can't pick up an event and say, this was the most trying moment of my career. I must confess there were very many trying moments in my career. In fact, my book, Not Just a Civil Servant, actually narrates such events where I was in enormous pressure. My coming book also touches upon certain events in my career. So I won't do that, but let me touch upon some of those events which challenged me into making choices that were not very easy ones. To begin with, I think the biggest challenge to me came when I was posted as Coal Secretary, Government of India. I didn't know much about the coal sector. So I rang up a friend of mine to ask him, yaar, ye coal sector kaisa hai? So instead of answering my question, he asked me a question. He asked me, Gangs of Wasseypur dekhi hai kya? So that actually answered my question, so to say. I understood what was wrong. I had been reading in the newspapers about these scams that were happening, of everything going wrong with coal ministry or the coal sector. I remember when I walked into the room of coal secretary or in that ministry, I felt like walking into a graveyard because CBI was after officers, CBI was after files. Anything that could have gone wrong had gone wrong with the ministry or with the sector. And that was a challenge because uh, right through my career, I had been very, very optimistic no matter how bad the situation was. But here was a situation which couldn't have been worse, so to say. And how do I come out of that, that environment of pessimism that pervaded this ministry? And I thought to myself and said, the things are so bad that they can't become worse. So whatever that's going to happen now is going to be an improvement of what it is. And I can walk away with that credit. With that optimism, I started working there. But very, very interestingly, I have always believed that God helps those that help themselves. I don't know how many of you have read these books. One by Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist, very famous. The other by Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And third, Secrets by Rhonda Byrne. All three carry a message. And that message is that if you are passionate about something, the whole world will conspire to make it happen. I think this got stated by Shah Rukh Khan in Om Shanti Om also, when he talks
That's right.
about the Kainat. That's what it means, that if you're passionate about. And one thing that I've prided in my entire career is that I've been passionate about whatever I did. Even post-retirement, I've started a movement called Nexus of Good, and I'm extremely passionate about it. And I see it happening. So when you're passionate. So back to my challenging days, initially, when we were trying to evolve systems in coal ministry, and I am a great believer in systems, though individuals evolve those systems, individuals are extremely important. But what sustains is a system. And to make those systems, I faced enormous amount of challenges because there was no precedent anywhere in the world of these type of auctions that we had to evolve. And fortunately, by God's grace, I had such a fabulous team with me that we could come up with a system that came to be appreciated all over. In fact, even today, the same system continues, though I have been away for more than 4 years, and the system sustains. So I've always said that in government, and let me now be a bit more specific to theorize what I did. Almost everyone in this country has an idea or a solution to a problem. Like today, these days, we are going through this COVID crisis. Everyone has an idea. But people forget that in a democracy, for an idea to fructify, it has to be politically acceptable, socially desirable, technologically feasible, financially viable, administratively doable, and judicially tenable. Now, it's a handful. And that's the reason why most of the things don't happen in the government. So the challenges that a civil servant faced, and I faced during my career, were these challenges in terms of making things happen. Now, I jokingly say that if a civil servant doesn't want to make things happen, he can have a smooth ride. I got into the civil service or became an IS officer because my father wanted me to become an IS officer. So I was fulfilling his dream. That wasn't my dream. I made his dream my dream and then got into the civil service. But at the end of the book that I write, at the end of 38 years of service, I have written that if I were to be born again, I like to be an IS officer all over because there's no other service in the world which provides you such enormous opportunity to do good to people, and if you so desire, do bad to people. You can survive as an honest officer, you can thrive as a dishonest officer. Which service provides you that? And I jokingly, which is not written in the book, I jokingly also say that in the IS, if you're efficient, you might become Secretary Government of India. If you're inefficient, you have chances of becoming Cabinet Secretary Government of India, maybe Governor RBI. So It takes all types. So what I'm saying is there are huge number of challenges that you face in your service. I did often very difficult choices to make. And there were times when I failed. I felt desperate. And let me give you another example here. And it happened through my career. There were many failures, one after the other. They are documented in my previous book. More will be documented in the next book. Let me give you one example. And it came almost at the end of my career when I was secretary school education. You know, when I became education secretary, people asked me after a month, "Kaisa lag raha hai aapko?" I said, "Ye bada funny sector hai. Imagine in coal, all the mining was underground and mafia was overground. In education, it's the other way around. All mafias are underground, eating into the essentials of Indian society. And one of the biggest mafia in school education is the mafia of B.Ed and D.Ed colleges. Amazing mafia. You know, you won't believe that out of the so-called 16,000 B.Ed colleges in this country, 4,000 do not exist. Yet they can give you a degree, and if you pay them well, they'll give you Naukri as well. It's as bad as that. So when I took over as education secretary, there was a chairman, National Council for Teachers Education, an outstanding IS officer, very senior IS officer. He came to meet me and he said, "Sir, this is the fraud that's going on, and I want to correct it." I said, "Please go ahead." And I was new. So he started by asking, what did he ask? He asked only factual details on an affidavit from all these 16,000 colleges. This set cat amongst the pigeons because they knew that this data, since being asked on affidavit, criminal case can be lodged against them if the data is wrong. So what did they do? They first tried to put pressure, politically acceptable. So what I did was I traveled through the country and I traveled to 24 states in the first 3 months, convinced a number of chief ministers that this is the right move. And believe me, that almost every chief minister agreed with me. So politically it became acceptable. Socially it was desirable. So these guys got rattled, those that were running these mafia. So what they did they do? They filed a writ in 17 high courts, 3 of which granted a stay order. So the chairman NCT personally appeared in one of the high courts to plead and say that he's only asking for information. What is he seeking? The chief justice and the judges got so annoyed with him, issued a contempt notice to him with a notice to me asking me, how can he be removed from the chairman's position? The court may be advised. I was shocked and I tried to protect him, but in a meeting, he didn't get the desired support. Consequent to which he resigned. That was one of the biggest failures. I didn't know. I was at a total loss and one of the biggest failures. But I learned lessons from there. So when the next opportunity came to protect the then chairman CBSE in a so-called paper leak that was also engineered by one of the mafias, I tried to protect her and managed to protect her. And I am glad she survived, and today she is Secretary School Education, Government of India. So that's what it is. I'm sorry I took a longer time to answer your question, just to drive home certain points with regard to the challenges that a civil servant faces, the dilemmas that he faces, the spine that has to be shown. Sometimes the spine doesn't stand, you get beaten. But there are other times that you have your way. But let me conclude by saying, I have always believed that I have no control over others. I have no control over set of circumstances. They will happen the way they will happen. But I have enormous control over myself. If I can evolve as an individual who can drive events and do the best that you can, I would derive satisfaction from that. I have always believed खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बताते भी रहा क्या है. If you can evolve as an individual, I think those dilemmas come down, you are able to face those challenges.
That's very well said, sir. But now, let me pose a question from an average person, average officers, whether he or she may be in the government or in private sector. There are two choices an individual has. One is to comply, one is to resist, right? Now, give us a logical way to understand the two choices. Why should I resist when I'm better off by not resisting? Why should I resist? Why should I really pose uncomfortable questions? Is it in my interest? Please give us an understanding of that.
My take is very simple. It is in your interest to do what you think is right. Others can guide you, tell you, but you should be able to take a call and take the responsibility of that call. The problem arises when you are in a dilemma and you go by a choice which is not your. If you ask yourself, you'll know what the right answer is. Now, let me illustrate explain this to you. There are costs to be paid either ways. If you do something wrong, you may stand to benefit immediately, but over a period of time, you will develop a reputation for yourself. ये तो कुछ भी कर सकता है, इससे कुछ भी करा लो. But if you are convinced about what you're saying and what you do is right, then people will not approach you to that. There is a price to be paid then also, because people may find you inconvenient and shut you out. So, like in civil servant, I can tell you, there were occasions, and let me illustrate here again to give a point here. I had just taken over Secretary Horticulture in government of UP, and the state had gone to dogs. I mean, the systems had collapsed. So I got a written order from my minister asking me to suspend a deputy director of the horticulture department. Now, the minister was authorized to suspend him, but no reason was given. Now, what were the options available with me? I could have easily complied with the order because it was legitimate, legal order, and normal course I would have. But when I inquired about this officer, I was told that he's extremely honest and extremely efficient. A rare combination among civil servants. He was that. Now, my conscience didn't allow me to suspend him straight away. I wanted to understand the cause of that suspension. So I rang up that minister and asked him, Sir, आपने उनको निलंबित suspend करने को कहा है, कोई कारण नहीं दिया. He tells me वो मुझसे मिलने नहीं आया. So I said, बड़ी छोटी चीज है सर, मैं उससे कहता हूँ आपसे मिल लेगा, छोटी बात के लिए suspension. So he didn't say anything. So I spoke to the officer. I asked him, यार तुम मिलने नहीं गए, बड़े नाराज है मंत्री जी. बोला सर मैं कई बार मिल चुका हूं उनसे, लेकिन जैसे वो मिलना चाह रहे हैं मैं नहीं मिल पा रहा हूं. Now people in UP understand the language. Now this minister was known as 25%. He wanted some nazrana from this chap. He wanted some offering from him, which this guy was not capable on what didn't want. So now how do I save him? Now this is a major dilemma, and I'm going back to the question that you raised. You said that hum kar de. Now there was nothing legal wrong in what even if I had done it, but ethically my conscience was pricky. But to keep your conscience and keep ethics, you should know your rules very well. Never flout a rule, but use a rule to your benefit. Now there is a rule in UP which says that if the secretary doesn't agree with the minister, he can root the file with his opinion through the chief secretary. Now this may or may not have worked, but since I knew the chief secretary, I rang him up. Now whatever I'm saying or what I've said in the past or I'll say in the future may not apply in a different set of circumstances, but I'm telling you what I did. And I'm also not saying what I did was right. It's a personal choice. Everyone has to decide what is right and wrong. What I thought was right, I did. So I rang up the chief secretary and explained to him that, sir, ये इसको suspend करने को कह रहे हैं. So he said, Anil, file मुझे भेज दो, फिर देखते हैं क्या होगा. File मैंने भेज दी उनको. Now the minister did not have the guts to speak to the chief secretary, but you know he was a smart elect. He went and spoke to the chief minister, and I don't know what transpired between them, but I was transferred out. Now the chief secretary was upset. He said, "यार तुम उसको बचाने के चक्कर में तुम्हारा ट्रांसफर हो गया." मैंने साहब क्यों परेशान होते हैं? For a civil servant, transfer is like death. It is inevitable. जो होना उसके लिए परेशान क्या होना? और वैसे भी मैं हिंदू फिलॉसफी में विश्वास करता हूँ. मेरा पुनर्जन्म आप करेंगे ना करेंगे, मुझे कहीं पोस्ट करेंगे, मैं फिर ये धंधा करूंगा वहां पर. So he started laughing. It got diffused. Now I was prepared to pay that price at that point in time, and the benefit that I get is phenomenal. Over a period of time, you develop a reputation of protecting your officers. Your officers, I'm not using this phrase otherwise, officers can lay life for you. And I'm discovering that after retirement. It's been 2 years since I've retired. I just have to pick up a phone and talk to those persons who work with me. And whatever I tell them, they do it. No questions asked. That's the loyalty that you get. Now, I paid a price of transfer. If you call it a price, I didn't consider it a price. Some people do consider it a price. I didn't consider it price at all. But even if it is a price, there is a benefit. I could have complied with the order. I wouldn't have been transferred, so I would have benefited. But over a period of time, I would have developed a reputation. Yeah, at the top of the head, ये अपने अधिकारी को छोड़ देते हैं, support नहीं करते हैं. Now, again, I'm not saying what I said is the right thing to do. Each individual has to make a choice, and then don't blame others. This is the second point that I'd like to drive home very clearly. उम्र भर यही भूल करता रहा गालिब, धूल चेहरे पर थी, आईना मलता रहा. We have to very clear in mind कि हम आईने का कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ सकते, हम अपना बना बिगाड़ सकते हैं. अपनी धूल साफ करते रहिए. You will evolve as an individual where you obviously, I'm telling you, there's no perfect situation. If you say कि इस करते रहो हो जाएगा, with an increasing awareness among public, with increasing transparency, the chances of you getting caught are much more, and people are getting caught. Is it worth the price? Again, I'm not saying what I'm saying is right. Call has to be taken.
Right, right. Well, for all of those who joined slightly late after we began, my name is Navneet Sharma, and I'm having this very energizing conversation with Mr. Anil Swarup, who is well known as a performer, bureaucrat, and best-selling author. And we are talking about how we can bring in ethics, independence, and objectivity in our thought process. So you have talked about ethical conduct. You have emphasized it so much. With two examples, and I know your favorite example when you were at the Ministry of Labor and how much satisfaction that gives you. So I think with two examples, if you can illustrate how your ethical choices can be very, very fulfilling to you in long run, and how unethical choices of certain officers may not have been really so rewarding. Can you make a contrast between the two, sir?
It will be different. I'll tell you, ethics is a very personal thing.
It is.
So I can't say that unethical behavior of somebody else was harmful. It will be wrong because he may have thought differently. I can talk about myself, but I'll give you examples which will illustrate both these points. Now, after I was transferred, the last episode that I mentioned, I was transferred to an organization called Pickup. It was the State Financial Corporation, which had been running into losses for 7 years. It was one of the finest financial corporations in the country, but as it happened with some of the government institutions, it lost its way. And my job was to wind it up. So again, when I walked into this lovely August building, I could see demoralized staff totally. And I remember on the first day, the chief finance officer walked into my room. He was almost in tears. He said, sir, what this corporation was doing was, it was borrowing from IDBI and SIDBI and lending it to small and medium enterprises and large enterprises. And since it has fallen, it was not doing well. So it was entering into one-time settlement with the debtors, writing off their interest, settling on the principal. And to their creditors, they were paying interest. So anyone who understands finance will understand it was screwing up the balance sheet. And that's why there was this loss. So this chief accounts officer tells me कि सब मेरे पीछे पड़े हुए हैं, साहब सोने नहीं देते. मैंने मजाक में उससे कहा तुम्हारे पास है कुछ देने को? बोले साहब यही तो प्रॉब्लम है. मैंने कहा तो कुछ नहीं है तो क्यों परेशान हो, नंगे से कैसा दंगा? तो मैंने उससे तो मजाक कर ली, but I was very disturbed. I came up with a solution. And I was not a finance man, but I found a solution. The solution was that can we ask our creditors to waive off the interest and have a one-time settlement and ask our debtors to pay some interest. This would reverse the whole process. So after having slept 13, 14 sleepless nights, I got this idea. And then as was my wont, I discussed with all the 300 officers at the headquarters in hall. I floated this idea to them. Bole sir, ye to bahut badhiya idea. Now, as I said, idea asan hai, but to make it happen is politically acceptable, socially desirable, technologically, all that has to be done. How do you do it? Here, there were two things involved. One was, how do I convince my creditors to waive off interest? And second, how do I improve my recovery? Now, these are major issues to be done. There were other issues, two major issues. So what did I do? I did something which I consider very unethical, but let me tell you, I did it. So I rang up Chairman SIDBI and I told him that we owe you 70 crores of rupees plus 180 crores as interest. So in all, I owe you 250 crores. If you waive off that 170 crores, 180 crores, I'll give you 70 crores. He shot through his roof. He said, अरे कैसी बात कर रहे हैं? हम कैसे दे देंगे आपको? हमने कहा वैसे ही दे देंगे जैसे आप 15 प्राइवेट सेक्टर वालों का आपने इंटरेस्ट माफ किया है. बोले आपको कैसे पता? मैंने कहा मैंने रिसर्च करके आपसे बात की. You could write off interest for private sector, हम पब्लिक सेक्टर आप क्यों नहीं करेंगे? अरे सर कैसे कर देंगे? हमने कहा वैसे ही कीजिए आप. नहीं सर अब मुश्किल होगा. हमने कहा देखिए मैंने आपके बारे में रिसर्च की, आपने मेरे बारे में रिसर्च नहीं की. Before I joined the IS, I was in the police. 2 of my batchmates are right now joint directors in CBI. All I have to do is write a letter to them stating कि इन 15 का माफ कर दिया, मेरा नहीं कर रहा है, मैं और कुछ नहीं कहूंगा. अरे बिल्कुल एकदम सफा का, अरे कैसी बात कर रहे हैं? मैंने कहा आप ऐसा कीजिए, सोच लीजिए, मुझे बताइए 2 दिन में. 2 दिन क्या, अगले दिन सुबह उसका फोन आ गया. बोले साहब आप अगर हमें 70 करोड़ दे दें तो हमें 180 करोड़ माफ कर देंगे. It was a huge thing, but मेरे पास तो 70 करोड़ भी नहीं था, मैं कैसे देता? So then I went to finance secretary, who I knew her, my senior थी मुझसे. You are very well. I went and explained to her, ki, Madam, we owe SIDBI 250 crores and this loan is state guaranteed. So if the government doesn't pay up, then treasuries will be attached and the money will be recovered. So she said, हाँ अनिल प्रॉब्लम तो है, क्या किया जाए? मैंने कहा मैडम मैंने कर लिया. क्या किया तुमने? मैंने कहा मैंने चेयरमैन सिडबी से बात कर ली. He is prepared to write off the interest if we pay the principal. She couldn't believe it. I said, but madam मेरे पास पैसा नहीं, तो दे दी. Within 24 hours she gave me 30 crores rupees. I paid back those 50 crores to SIDBI and on that I got an interest waiver of around 60 crores. Balance sheet तो उसी से बदल गई. Then how do you recover more? बाकी पैसा भी तो देना था ना. 30 के अलावा 40 crore और था. So I called the most corrupt. Now listen to this carefully. I called the most corrupt general manager over a cup of tea. Why? Because anybody who's corrupt is also efficient if he is outside the jail. Otherwise, jail में बाहर है तो इसका मतलब होशियार है. होशियारी उसकी गलत जगह लगी. You know, I was continuously doing unethical things by traditional sense, but my objective was very clear. So I called him for a cup of tea, or I was having a chai with him. And I made a statement. I said, यार इस संस्था में कुछ बचा तो है नहीं, तुम चूसोगे क्या? So he immediately got a shock of his life because no matter how corrupt you are, you will never admit to corruption. Then I said, अच्छा तुम इसको भूल जाओ, बीती ताही बिसार दे. तुमने आज सुना हम ये रणनीति बना रहे हैं, ये making this strategy to improve our recoveries. I want you to help me. He said, हाँ सर बिल्कुल करूँगा. Now, to cut a long story short, it's there in my book. He put his heart and soul into it. And we started recovering big time. This pickup came into profit within a year. Since it came into profit, यूपी में उस समय एक इंडस्ट्री काम करती थी, इसका नाम था ट्रांसफर इंडस्ट्री. So मेरा ट्रांसफर हो गया क्योंकि अब अच्छी हो गई थी संस्था. Someone else wanted to come. I didn't care about it, but I cared about this officer. I kept inquiring about him कि यार वो कैसा चल रहा है. सब लोग कहते सर वो तो इतना ईमानदार हो गया है और इतना बढ़िया काम कर रहा है, ना पैसा लेता है ना देता है. I was very pleasantly surprised. I called him for a cup of tea at home this time. And when he came over, I asked him, यार तुम तो यार बिल्कुल बदल गए, तुम्हारी लोग इतनी तारीफ करते हैं, तुम इतनी मेहनत से काम कर रहे हो. कहता है सर जब आप वो 300 लोगों के सामने मेरी पीठ थपथपा के कहते थे ये जो हो रहा है अच्छा, ये इसकी वजह से हो रहा है, सर जो किक मुझे मिलती थी वो पहले कभी नहीं मिली और उस किक की वजह से आज मैं जो हूं. तो I have used this word kick in my book. Because it's personal to everybody. What gives you that inherent happiness? It is not money. It is this kick. And now let me go on to the second assignment where I use this word kick almost 10 years down the line. I was doing this scheme called Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. Now this scheme came to be recognized world over. The World Bank thought it should be done in 15 countries. ILO thought it's one of the finest schemes. So what happened was that I got a call from Obama administration. When Obama took over, some of their advisors rang me. He said, Mr. Swaroop, can you come over to the USA to make a presentation on this health insurance scheme? So I told them, this is very peculiar to India. What can I suggest? They insisted. So I went over to Brookings Institute where their advisors exist. So I made a presentation on RSB. During this presentation, there were these advisors, but there were also some of the foundations like Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, people were also there. So after I made the presentation, we came out and we were having a cup of tea outside. And this guy from Gates Foundation walks up to me and asks me, Mr. Swaroop, you are a civil servant, but you seem to be very passionate about the scheme. What are you getting out of it? Is government paying you something beyond your salary? I couldn't answer immediately. I paused for a while, then asked him a counter question. I asked him, Gates Foundation gives millions of dollars to poor countries. What do you get out of it? He said, well, it's a job, but more than that, we derive a lot of satisfaction out of helping poor people. Then I said, you answered your own question. I said, this scheme is for the poorest of the poor in the country. And this scheme is helping them. So the good wishes of those that have survived and their families come back to me somehow, anyhow. That's good enough a kick for me to continue to do what I'm doing. And then I narrated an incident to him. In this scheme, I used to visit these small hospitals. And they were not Apollos and Maxes. These are middling and small hospitals. So in one of those visits, I was talking to a beneficiary patient and suddenly heard a very feeble voice from behind. So I turned around, I saw a very old lady calling, Beta idhar. I went to her, I bent down because she couldn't sit, very old. And she was waving that smart card to me. So I bent down, I asked her, Mata ji, aap theek to hain? She says, Beta, main bahut takleef mein hoon. लेकिन इन अस्पताल वालों ने मेरा बड़ा ख्याल रखा। मैंने सेड फिर आप ठीक हो जाएंगे, अपने घर जाएंगी। नहीं बेटा, मेरा तो कोई है ही नहीं, मैं कहाँ जाऊंगा, तो मैं ऊपर वाले के पास जाऊंगा। आई सेड नहीं नहीं नहीं, आप अपने घर जाइए। बोले मेरा घर वर नहीं है, मैं एक झोपड़ी में रहती थी, भीख मांगती थी, बीमार पड़ गई, तो मेरे एक पड़ोस में रहता था, वो भीख मांगता था, उसने मुझे देखा, तुम्हारा ये कार्ड देगा, मुझे यहाँ ले आया, ये सब मेरी सेवा कर रहे हैं, मुझसे पैसे भी नहीं लेते, मेरे पास है भी नहीं देने। देन अगेन सेड नहीं नहीं माता जी आप ठीक हो। नहीं नहीं बेटा, अब मेरी उम्र इतनी हो गई, अब तो मैं ऊपर वाले के पास जाऊंगी। This carried on for 10-15 seconds and then she made a very remarkable statement. She says, एक बार बात है बेटा, जब मैं ऊपर वाले से मिलूंगी तो उससे एक बात जरूर कहूंगी, तुम्हारी स्कीम बहुत अच्छी है। Now, what can be a bigger kick than that? I mean, as I narrate this to you, I get goosebumps all over my body. I call these my Bharat Ratnas. So each individual has to decide what does he want in life. I can't prescribe to anybody. Each one has to define for himself or herself as to what do they want in life and then work accordingly. I am again not saying what I am saying is right. I'm only saying these are options available to you. You have to look at these options or another option where you had selection of 3 most corrupt officers in UP, 2 of whom ultimately went to jail. Both of them were chief secretaries to the state government. No, you have a choice. You decide where you got to go. They may not have been caught. Again, that's not an issue. It's totally internal to you, not external to you. The happiness or the kick is totally internal to you. It's not that what others are saying. I feel kicked because I feel kicked. It's not because somebody else tells me you've done a great job. Of course, you get a kick from that also. But I think the biggest kick is from within yourself. The reason is very simple. आदमी अपने आप से कभी झूठ नहीं बोलता।
कभी नहीं। I think there is a.
Hello.
Ji sir. Ji sir.
I'm through. You can ask your next question.
Okay. So, one thing I want to ask you, sir, is that इस तरह के मौके जब भी जीवन में आते हैं, एक सवाल जो शॉर्ट टर्म और लॉन्ग टर्म का आपने अपने तमाम उदाहरणों में ये एविडेंटली आपने कह दिया कि व्हाट शुड बी द थॉट प्रोसेस, लेकिन फिर भी पता नहीं क्यों व्हाई पीपल फेल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट short term gains could be quite expensive, quite disastrous in long run. Can you reiterate this point? Because and I can see in the poll I've asked a question to the audience: do you undergo pressure at work from peers and supervisors to take decisions against your professional ethics? 64% people have said yes, they face these situations at some point in their life. So therefore, I think it's an important question for all of us to ponder over, that what do we gain in short run and what do we gain in long run, and how do we reconcile the two, basically? That's my question.
Let's try and understand that there is no such thing as objective reality. It is your subjective understanding of that reality that matters. In a similar set of circumstances, one person reacts differently from the other person. Why is it so? If everyone understands an objective reality in the similar manner, everyone should behave in a similar manner. He doesn't. Everyone behaves differently. Thereby, it is absolutely clear that individual has to focus on himself to evolve in a manner to look at that objective reality in the manner in which he wants to look at it, not what the other wants to look at. There is a saying, that you can't irritate me unless I want to get irritated. So when you say that they are under pressure, that's an objective reality. You can't do much about the pressure that gets created around you, but you can do and accommodate or evolve in a manner that you manage the pressure better. Now, if you can only manage that pressure if you firmly believe that you want to go in a particular direction. If you are yourself not sure that this is the direction that I have to follow, then obviously you will be confused. Then you will feel the pressure even more. In my next book that I am writing, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant, I am trying to address this question. And this happens over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. Suddenly you start become wise and you say, this I have to do. I am telling you, after certain years of my career, I stopped having that dilemma. I didn't have that dilemma because I had evolved in a manner. I knew what I had to do and I knew the consequences. So if you do whatever you do with your eyes wide open, I think you will be a happier man. That's what that matters. It doesn't really matter whether you acquire a position or not. I have seen People, people die to get into the civil service, but I see so many IAS officers actually dying within the service. So it's not a question of what you are aspiring for. It's a question of how you feel deep inside you. So you have to evolve yourself. So you have to take a call. Yes, the pressure has to be there, but that's natural. That's how it is. How much of the pressure that you absorb, how much of the pressure you respond is your, and how do you go about doing it? Because next question is, of course, ये तो आपने ज्ञान दे दिया ऐसा करना चाहिए और आपने बता दिया आपने किया. अगर हम करना चाहें तो कैसा करें? Let me give some advice here on how I tried to evolve as an individual. Because I was certainly, I'm still not a genius. I was not a born a genius. I was not as wise probably as I am today. I'm still trying to be wiser. So, but you evolve, you learn as you go along. How do you do that? I mentioned a book, Robin Sharma's Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It had a great impact on me. And I read most of his books. Of course, others are similar to the first one, but very impactful. He talks about how about you change your attitude, behavior, and approach. And he talks about, and this is a much talked about principle, it's called the 21-day rule. Now, 21 day doesn't really 21 day, it could be more or less depending on the individual. But he says that if you continuously do consciously something for 21 days, after that time, it becomes your second nature. And I have tried to build a simpler example on what he said. For example, you should be drinking about 10 glasses of water a day. Now, how do you do it? Put an alarm every hour. And when the alarm goes, drink a glass of water. I can assure you, after 21 days, you won't require an alarm. Body gets used to that. Now, this is a very easy thing to do. More difficult is that you have a particular sanskar, your behavior, your attitude. You get very irritated when pressure comes on you. You get agitated when you do that. Now, how do you change that? You have to look at those people, those role models. I'm sure everyone comes across those role models who do not feel the pressure. Try and sit with them if possible. Try and understand them. How did they go about it? And try and develop that habit. Now, it won't happen overnight. It's very difficult, but it can be done. Because naturally, your reaction would be to react immediately, impulsively, and say that. Immediately, you'll react. Immediately, you feel the pressure. And you are consciously telling you that I want to change. Now, it's a struggle that will happen from within, but I can assure you that it can be done. It's very difficult because naturally you are endowed and you move in that direction. So someone tells you to do a wrong thing. To government servants, I can say, I have not much of an experience in the private sector. I tell them very clearly when I go to the academy and talk to other officers, I tell them, there are three clear-cut things. If it is illegal, anyone is prescribing you do against the law, don't do it, come what may. If it is correct, then don't unnecessarily fight with the guy. Don't go by prejudices that politician is wrong and do it. The third is the gray area, where you don't know whether it's right, but it's wrong. That's where the dilemma comes in. That's where you have to live converse, seek advice, and then take a call on that. And over a period of time, you'll get that experience to take the right call and stand by it. So it's not very easy, but it can be done.
In fact, that was one of the questions in the chat box. I can see you have already answered, sir, how to manage pressure. And then my next question is, sir, about, I think most often when we are facing such dilemmas, our objectivity is also tested. How objectively we are able to analyze the situation and put a decision, if required, to such a dilemma. And there could be subjective biases, लोभ मोह जो कुछ है जो आम आदमी को हो सकता है वो सब भी हो सकता है. Now, how do we, strike a balance between our subjective preferences and objective choices? Because at the end of the day, sir, all of us are humans. We have normal tendencies. How do we strike a fair balance that we can sleep well every night without fail?
Let me build from the pressure one that you had and come to what you're saying right now. Now, as I said, pressure we have no control over it, but we can ourselves evolve in a manner that we are able to manage that pressure. To do that, which I alluded to in my previous example also, first, you have to discipline yourself. I think that most of the problem arises because I am not disciplined. If I'm available and I'm not disciplined, the problem starts with me. Guys who've done well in life are those that are disciplined. And discipline could mean time management, sacrifices. I mean, when you compete in an Olympic race, you do a lot of sacrifice before you finally run the race. No, we don't want to do any sacrifice and want to win the race. It won't happen. You have to make sacrifices on a day-to-day basis. So unfortunately, God has made everything that good on your palate is bad for you, whether it's sugar or salt. No, anything that tastes good is bad for you. Now, discipline had to start from that. Now, how do you do that? Now, I'll give you a very different example, which is not mentioned in either of my books, and I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not a very sophisticated or a discerning drinker, but I remember I once had gone to Geneva, and I was going around in a mall there, and I found a wine bottle which costed 2 francs. At that point in time, only 100 rupees, one of the cheapest wines. So I came back to my room. I had some wine there, and I liked it. The next day, there was a dinner hosted by a colleague of mine who was a big officer in WTO. And he opened a bottle of wine with a lot of elan, and then he served that wine to me. And when I was having it, he said, "Kaisi lagi?" हमने कहा, "यार अच्छी है, लेकिन सुबह जो कल पी थी वो ज़्यादा अच्छी थी." तो he asked me, "नाम बताओ." मैंने नाम बताया तो उसने एक मारा मुझे, "He's a friend of mine." पीछे मारा, "अबे यार वो $2 की मैं तुम्हारे 2 फ्रैंक की मैं तुम्हें 50 फ्रैंक की बॉटल खोल रहा हूँ." तो मैंने कहा, "देखो यार, मुझे उतना ही मजा 2 में आ रहा है, तो मैं क्यों 50 वाली पीऊं?" ना, ये आपकी आदत है। आपको अच्छा क्या लग रहा है ये आप पे निर्भर करता है। मुझे आज तक नहीं समझ में आया, आई एम सॉरी फॉर यूजिंग दिस फ्रेज, कि जो बलिनो मैं खुद चलाता हूं उसके भी 4 पहिए हैं, और जो मर्सिडीज 80 लाख की उसके भी 4 पहिए हैं, और जो मर्सिडीज रखते हैं वो खुद कभी चलाते नहीं, ड्राइवर चलाता है। बैठने में मेरी बलिनो मर्सिडीज से ज्यादा बेहतर है, तो क्यों खर्च करता है आदमी 80 लाख की? इसलिए खर्च करता है, पड़ोसी के लिए करता है। पड़ोसी देखे वो मर्सिडीज में चल रहा है, वहां की समस्याएं शुरू हो जाती है। द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट क्रेविंग फॉर थिंग्स, you run into problems. That comes from discipline. So you can avoid all that pressure if you don't have cravings. If you start enjoying, now I'm coming to the next point, you start enjoying the moments that you are in. You don't aspire for too many things. So even if you aspire, don't be craving for it. It's the craving that makes you difference. It's your desire, your expectation. Now you can, I'm not saying you become an ascetic, go to Himalayas and no. Live here, but enjoy whatever you have. I'm telling you, the best food that I have is a home food, arhar ki dal and chawal. Now, that costs nothing. But that's a personal choice. अब मैं किसी और से कहूंगा जो 5 स्टार में खाता होगा, यार बेकार बात. Now that's a personal choice. I've evolved in a manner that I've started enjoying small. You know, the best moments of my life in my career used to be the time when I used to have ice cream cone with my kids in Hazratganj in Lucknow, because I rarely found time to be with them. So I used to, on some holidays, take them on a ride, and we used to have ice cream there. The best moments, very cheap, very good. Now you have to define your best moments. Now if you look best moments, जैसे लोग कहते हैं साहब स्विट्जरलैंड में जाएंगे और यहाँ जाएंगे, अब आप वो ख्वाब देखने में बुरा नहीं है, but your feet firmly on the ground. Now you have to discipline yourself. Now once you do that, once you enjoy these small moments, you know, why did Gandhiji tend to Bakri? Because he liked those. He couldn't care less what the world thought about him. He enjoyed those moments. On the one hand, he was handling national problems. On the other hand, he was bothered about. That's it. Because he liked it. He did it. Now, what we do is, हम अपने लिए नहीं पड़ोसी के लिए काम करते हैं। कपड़ा भी पड़ोसी के लिए पहनते हैं, गाड़ी भी पड़ोसी के लिए करते हैं, दारू भी पड़ोसी के लिए पीते हैं। हम जब उस रेस में पड़ गए तो समस्या आ गई। If you don't get into that race, and if you can limit your desires through discipline, which I said, and I'm not saying don't become an ascetic, don't crave. The moment you do that, pressures will come down. You know, once the ministers got to know that I couldn't care less about my transfer, मेरे ट्रांसफर बंद हो गया, बिकॉज मुझे उनको मजा ही नहीं आता था। भाई मुझे परेशान होने का सब्जेक्टिव डिसीजन तो मेरा है ना, अब मैं परेशान ही नहीं हो रहा हूं, वो जहां चाहो कर दो यार मुझे। सो दैट्स वेरी सब्जेक्टिव टू यू. You have to evolve with that individual. As I keep saying, you can't do a nut to somebody else. You can't do a nut to pressure. But how much you absorb, how much you reflect is totally dependent on.
Correct, sir. I think that's a very, very valuable advice you have offered to everybody who has joined us here. And my second question, sir, let me tell you, in the poll, I have asked a question: how frequently do you undergo pressures at work from peers and supervisors to take decisions against your professional ethics? The frequency I've asked. So 40% people have said occasionally, once or twice in a year. That's the frequency. Another 40% have said frequently, once or twice a quarter. And only 20% have said very frequently, once or twice a week. But if you see this, I mean, it's a, now that polling has suddenly increased by my question, about 66% people are actually saying that either once or twice a week or once or twice a quarter. I mean, that's a fairly strong frequency, I would say, sir, if people are facing. And that is why I think we are talking about this, sir, that why and how these questions are important to us. And it's really very, very distilled gyan, if I can say so, that how to free oneself from all this, which is really bothering us.
Okay, let me try and address this point, though I have talked about, but let me explain this. You know, one is, do we keep time ourselves to reflect on the nature of the pressure? That's very important. We don't do that. We brood over it. Can we, in all organizations that I have advised, I've said, form into small groups, small groups, where people can come out with these pressure points and benefit from how others got over those pressure points. You know, interaction and engagement can be a great releaser of pressure points. Let me give you an example. When I, again, going to the coal ministry, you can't imagine the pressure that we were under in the coal ministry. Now, how do I relax that pressure? I was relaxed. Now I have to relax it for others. Now, there was the joint secretary who came to me and put up a file to me. I signed it. He said, "Sir, आपने फाइल पढ़ी नहीं?" मैंने कहा, तिहाड़ जेल हम और तुम साथ जाएंगे, अकेले थोड़ी ना जाएंगे. Now, I use the sense of humor. You can't imagine the impact it had on that officer, because I told him that I have total confidence in you. You know, it is true. And we had a round table in my room where if there was a serious pressure on anybody, he was free to come there. We'll sit around a table and discuss it out. You know, half the problem goes by just discussing. And there was a joke there on that round table. Give us the Kashmir problem, we just might find a solution to it. You know, the amount of positive energy that prevailed was absolutely amazing. Now, this comes through discussions, through a positive energy. Now, as I keep saying, none of us have any control over circumstances. We, by discussing amongst ourselves, can look at solutions. You know, most of these solutions have come through discussions. It's the stopping and cessation of communication that creates most of the problem. So long as we can communicate with those people, and everyone has friends, it's best to discuss with your mentors or friends. Once you do that, you'll start finding a way. And once you get into the habit of, you know, handling pressure, you love it. I'm telling you, when Chairman CBSE was being pressurized to resign and move, I was thrilled at taking that challenge up. So it's the temperament that you develop.
Right, sir. There is an interesting observation and a question in the chat box, sir. I'm taking that up. And it says that वक्त बदला हवाओं ने जोर भी पकड़ा जो तूफान में झुके पेड़ सलामत खड़े रहे. So it alludes to basically some kind of flexibility. The price of ethics is normally a trade-off for a survival. The question is flexibility or a firm spine a true virtue?
No, please try and understand. By being ethical doesn't mean that you are khade hue. What I keep saying that, you know, there is no clear-cut, straight, defined definition of ethics. You have to see in a larger context, why did I call the most corrupt GM for a discussion? Why did I threaten the Chairman CB? My objective was very clear. I had no other personal intention. I mean, if I had been like this, I would have gone nowhere. So by waving, swaying in the tree is not you're bending. You're not bending backwards. You are trying to understand and appreciate the situation. You are trying to prevent a total breakdown, and you are trying to accommodate. Now that will depend on, you give me a situation, I'll explain to you. I have explained the situation that I faced. No, it's not black and white that you have to say no. You know, one of the biggest problems with some of us in the administrative service is that a large number of us believe that politicians is always wrong. So I keep asking these fellows, I ask them, किस नेता ने तुमसे कहा ऑफिस लेट आओ? नहीं, किसी ने नहीं कहा. किसी नेता ने कहा तुमसे फाइल पे बैठे रहो? नहीं कहा. क्यों बैठे रहते हो? किस नेता ने कहा अपना ऑफिस गंदा रखो? नहीं कहा. क्यों करते हो? So we have this habit of finding that आईना और सब धूल उस पे देखते हैं. If you look inwards, you will find that there's a huge space where you can do. And I can tell every person attending this webinar that if you focus on the space available to you, you will see that space expand. You will get more and more space. And I explain this by saying, why did the government post me as coach secretary? I did ask them. I did ask them. Why should I ask them? If they think I'm good, I was doing well wherever I was. See, as I said, my understanding with government, once you decide that, it makes your life very easy. You know, we make our lives difficult. So I had my understanding with the government, जहाँ चाहो वहाँ post करो. जब post कर दोगे तो जो मैं ठीक समझूंगा करूंगा. No, that was an understanding. Which they understood, I understood. Sometimes, I mean, in Mayawati's time in UP, I was transferred 3 times in 6 months of her tenure. So be it. So be it. But through that and the issues on which I was transferred, I don't agree with people who keep getting transferred. No, you have to understand the limitation of the politics. You know, sometimes we say, "Hum hi sahi keh rahe hain." You must understand the position of your so-called adversary and look at it from his point of view. And there is a lot of accommodation that can be done. You don't have to necessarily. I'll give you another example now that you read. I was special secretary to Mr. Kalyan Singh. I had just taken over as special secretary. And there was a discussion going on with the chief secretary and the DGP. And the discussion was that the chief minister was very upset that he had to address 7 election meetings in a day in a by-election. And he was very upset. He said, मैं 7 तो कर ही नहीं सकता, 2 आप काटिए. और 2 दिन बाद था. And both chief secretary and DGP were agreeing with him vehemently. Now I was standing there. I was aghast. I said, how can he cancel his meeting 2 days before? Because 6 months before I was district magistrate Lakhimpur Kheri, and I saw what preparation goes into coming of chief minister. What are his anticipation? So I was not supposed to speak, but I spoke. I said, sir, निर्णय तो आपका है, लेकिन मैं भी कुछ दिन पहले जिलाधिकारी था, और जब सीएम आता है सब बड़ा लोगों को आशाएं होती हैं, आप चाहे 2 मिनट के लिए जाएं जरूर. So he looked at me, he was very angry. He said, आप क्या समझते हैं मैं जा सकता हूं? The moment these 2 guys, chief secretary and DGP, saw that he's angry, the chief secretary started nudging me to keep quiet. But मैंने कहा, मैंने साहब मेरा काम आपको राय देना, आप निर्णय लीजिए. There was pin drop silence and I thought they will throw me out of the room. But after 15 seconds, Kalyan Singh ji said, Anil ji, aap theek kar rahe hain. The same chief secretary immediately stopped nudging me and said, हाँ sir, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहा. Now that's a choice that you got to make a choice. And I'm not saying what is ethical, what he was doing is right or what I was doing was right. No, I did my bidding. I was prepared to pay a price. Fair enough. I'm a happy man. So ultimately, bottom line is what feels good deep inside you. What is that gives you a kick? I enjoy recalling those moments. Would you recall enjoying moments of a corrupt activity? No. So you have to decide.
That's right, sir. I want to ask you that's my favorite instance out of your life story, sir. When, this policy paralysis, that was the talk of the town, and you were in the cabinet secretariat. And I think you handled it pretty well for the given circumstances. I think it will be a treat for all our audience to listen to that, how you actually address this, how you infuse transparency in the entire discourse. I think that's a very valuable lesson, sir.
You know, around that time, this 2013, all scams had broken out and civil servants had stopped taking decisions on the file because he knew if they decided, there would be trouble for them. So I was in Cambodia. I had gone there to talk about RSP, Vaidya Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. And I got a call asking me to speak to the chief secretary, to the cabinet secretary. Now I tried to reach him from Cambodia. I couldn't. So when I landed in Delhi, I immediately called his office. They put me across. And he said, Anil, why don't you come over for a cup of tea tomorrow morning? No, I had never been to cabinet secretariat before that. And cabinet secretary inviting you in the morning for a cup of tea. I said, sir, kya baat hai? Kuch baat hai? नहीं ऐसी आदत तुमसे बात करनी है. I didn't know what had happened, and when you are in trouble, where do you go? You go to your spouse. So as my wife पहुंच के कि वो कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी ने बुलाया है, नहीं चिंता नहीं करो, ठीक ही हो जाएगा. But I couldn't sleep during the night. So in the morning I went to the cabinet secretariat, and as is my wont, I reached there ahead of the time schedule, and the cabinet secretary also arrived ahead of the time schedule. He saw me sitting in the waiting room. He called me inside. He said, you have been drafted for a special assignment. I said, sir, मेरा तो यहाँ tenure 7 साल का खत्म हो गया, मैं यूपी जा रहा हूँ वापस. नहीं. Yesterday the Prime Minister, Finance Minister and I met, and there is a serious crisis here, and we thought you should head this project monitoring group to fast track decisions. So I said, but sir, that's the rule. Well, no, we relax the rule. And that's when I realized, if the government wants you, they will relax any rule. If you want it, the government will show you the rule. So they had relaxed the rule, and I had given a year's extension. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I was made the head of the project monitoring group. Now, what did we do? In the given set of circumstances, I said, we'll be totally transparent. So we set up a system wherein any industry having an investment of more than 1,000 crore, they had a problem with any ministry, they could go to that portal, provide the details of the project, and mention the problem that they had along with the ministry. And this problem would automatically, through the web, flow to the designated joint secretary of the concerned ministry. And this joint secretary was mandated to put his comment on the portal. No paper, nothing. Totally transparent. And I used to have tripartite meetings in which the ministry used to sit there, the industry used to sit there, I used to sit there. And the only thing I used to tell the officers was, take a decision either way. Reject them, accept them. Don't sit on the file. Now, again, to cut a long story short, within the span of 15 months of UPA 2, when nothing was happening, 5 lakh crores worth of projects were cleared. People ask me, how did you do it? I said, it's very simple. No matter how inefficient I am, to the public, I'd like to appear to be efficient. हम पाउडर ऑर्डर लगाते हैं ना रंग छुपाने के लिए, बाल रंगते हैं, है ना, ये सब क्यों करते हैं? दूसरे को दिखाने के लिए, हमें तो पता है हम क्या है, वही ऑफिसर्स पे लागू होता है. The moment I made it transparent, everyone could know who's sitting on which file for how much time, so they started clearing the file. And you know, one of the consequences was devastating. One cabinet minister lost her job. She was removed from the cabinet because she was sitting on files worth 53,000 crores. She was shifted. So that's the power of transparency that could be obtained through technology. There are 2-3 chapters in my last book on this. So
that's right.
Technology is a great enabler.
Technology can, in fact, deliver quite a lot, sir. And my third question in the poll, sir, I've asked people that in their team meetings collectively, can their team take an objective view of the issues at hand and decide what is good for the organization? And people are still voting. And I think we are also close to the finish lines at the time we have exhausted. So therefore, my last question, sir, you have answered partly, but I think the question of aligning one's own interest with the organization's interest, one's own ethical standards with organization, how do you strike that?
आप ये बहुत बड़ी बात कर रहे हैं. मैं तो हमेशा छोटे-छोटे ब्रेक्स पे बात हूं. I'll close my conversation with a personal experience, and you'll understand what I'm saying. You know, there was an American monk by the name of Reinhold Niebuhr, and he made a very remarkable statement, and I quote this to everyone: Lord, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change things which I can, and the wisdom to understand the difference between two. You know, the biggest problem with us is, especially in the civil service, we want to change the world. And that's the biggest problem, without changing ourselves. I remember I was and we spent so much time over issues over which we have absolutely no control. So I was in the police service, as you mentioned earlier. So a batchmate of mine who retired very recently, about a year ago, he walked up to me then and said, "Boss, रात को नींद नहीं आ रही." मैंने क्या हो गया? बोले, "बॉस, पेट्रोलियम के दाम बहुत बढ़ रहा है." हमने कहा, पेट्रोलियम के दाम बढ़ तो रहे हैं, लेकिन तुम्हारी नींद से क्या ठीक हो जाएंगे? नहीं बॉस, देश की आर्थिक स्थिति पर कुप्रभाव पड़ रहा है. हमने कहा, यार आर्थिक स्थिति अपनी जगह पर है, तुम जिसके बारे में कुछ कर नहीं सकते, तुम्हारे ना सुनने से क्या आर्थिक स्थिति सुधर जाएगी? बोले, वो तो नहीं होगा. तो मैंने कहा, यार चिंता ठीक है, चिंतन ठीक है, पर रात की नींद क्यों हराम कर रहे हो? बोले, हाँ यार सही कह रहे हो. चला गया. 3 महीने बाद फिर आया, कहता, बॉस रात को नींद नहीं आ रही. मैंने कहा, यार अब क्या प्रॉब्लम है? यार अब तो पेट्रोलियम के दाम अपने आप ठीक हो गए बिना तुम्हारे इंटरवेंशन के. नहीं बॉस, इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन बहुत बढ़ रही है, यार रात को सो जाओ, अपने आप ठीक हो जाएगी. So now the point that I am trying to make here is that we should be clear about what we can and indulge in that. We get too hassled about कि धोनी ने वो शॉट क्यों खेल दिया, इंडिया हार गई. अरे ठीक है, डिस्कशन के लिए ठीक है. I've seen people fight over it. Why? And look at the time that we spend over issues over which we have absolutely no control. You know, the final thing came from my wife. I just joined the service and I used to get very agitated in traffic jams. So एक दिन मेरी वाइफ बोली, तुम इसका कुछ कर सकते हो? हमने कहा, कर तो नहीं सकते, तो खून क्यों खिला रहे हो अपना? I think that said it all. Why should I unnecessarily hassle over issues for which I have no control? Focus on yourself, on what you can, and derive enormous amount of satisfaction out of what you can. And again, since you are about to close, there are two requests that I'll like to make to your audience. One is I've started a movement called Nexus of Good. I would request all of you to join in whichever capacity that you want. The idea here is to identify good practices, to understand good practices, to appreciate good practices, to replicate and to scale them. There's so much negativity around in the society. This movement is basically to create a counter narrative of positive things that are happening. Please do join. There is a portal called www.nexusofgood.org.in. Go to that portal, have a look. And secondly, I'd love to have all you over for the web launch of my book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant, on the 5th of July. I'll convey it to you. You can then convey again to the audience. These two requests to you, and thank you very much for inviting me here.
Certainly, sir. Certainly. And I can see my WhatsApp chat, WhatsApp message here, sir. And it also says that, I need to request you, sir. Of course, I am going to spread this information. And of course, I am an active member of the Nexus of Good. And I can only say that as much as the negativity draws people to it, I think it's time that the idea that the goodness also has to now gravitate people to it. People must come to it and join it actively on ground and on social media, so that there is a positive action, there is a positive gravitation which can take place here. Please do join Mr. Swaroop's movement called Nexus of Good. And I think we would love to have, once the book is released, sir, we would like to have a follow-up conversation, what we are discussing today. With this, thank you very much, sir. It's, as always, you're energizing. Your thoughts leave us with a lot of positivity, a lot of hope. Thank you for your time and thoughts. And thank you to all the, I think I can see the numbers are about 155 people joined us today for this conversation. Thank you to everybody. And stay connected, stay safe.
You can reach out to me on my email ID. You have it. Please convey it to all your participants. They can reach out to me directly as well. Swaroop8@yahoo.com.
I will do that, sir, in my thank you email. In my thank you email to them, I will convey to them your email address.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.